history does indeed repeat itself. Two questions. Who is the his in the HIS-TORY? And what is the story that keeps repeating? Who is the author of the story? Who contrived and constructed it? I bring to your recollection Genesis, meaning the beginning, and the account of creation. I also bring to your mind Revelations, the end, as it were. And I contend that the story just keeps repeating. HIS-TORY keeps repeating. So the his, I contend, is the evil one. Some have come to know him as the Antichrist, but most significantly, it's man. Man wanting to be God or like God, wanting to have ultimate power and control at the expense of other human beings. The laity, those who don't know the esoteric meanings behind words and terminologies and what have you. Aristocratic families, bloodlines that use secrecy towards empowerment over other human beings. Okay, you may consolidate the history and attribute it to one man or woman in power, but I contend it's more of a ideology, a metaphoric being that is responsible for the HIS-TORY. It's an ideology. It's a thought process. And so think about this. The scripture says that the downfall of humanity happened as a result of mankind's pursuit after the having to do with the lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life. Okay, lusting after something that would benefit their human desires, their bodily desires, their fleshly and carnal desires, lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes. They want what they see. They seek to capitalize on another's misfortune in order to ascend. And the pride of life, the scripture says that man would become lovers of themselves, in their individual pursuits, again at the expense of others. And so let me just insert here that all three of these, lust of the eye, lust of the flesh, and the pride of life, are summed up in what we now experience in the digital age, in the age of social media. Through these platforms, through the internet, we are able now to fulfill holistically these three considerations, in that the internet and these platforms, social media, empower us to satiate or satisfy the lust of the eyes. We can now nearly have unfettered access, or have unfettered access, I should say, to all kinds of things throughout the days. We can see anything. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. And thereby we are able to lust after every experience possible. Any experience that anybody else is having. Through the internet and these platforms, we can now satisfy the lust of the flesh. Having access to pornography and, OnlyFans. You can even satisfy evil desires. You can see people being unalived right before your very eyes. You can satisfy any fetish you might have. Lust of the flesh. Any food, anything you want, that would satiate your physical body and desires. And lastly, the pride of life. You can make yourself viral by providing content of your life, reality television, as it were. You see, so today, more so than ever before, we now fulfill the lust of the eyes, lust of the flesh, and the pride of life that was captured again from the beginning of the story, or his story, right? All the way through the Revelation, or the ending, the last book of the his story. Nothing is off limits, as the scripture talks about in the account of the Tower of Babel. Behold, now man has become like one of us. One of the proponents or creators or authors of this system, this digital evolution, as it were. Now nothing shall be impossible to us. It reminds me of the Matrix movie, where Neo was able to plug in and essentially download informative data, instantly knowing how to fly a helicopter, or uses exercises of self-defense tactics and what have you, right? Just by a simple upload. And we have that same opportunity today. And so, again, I take you to the Genesis account of the fall of man, and how, I believe it's Genesis chapter 3, that captures the fall, where through the lust of the eyes, lust of the flesh, and the pride of life, it expresses that their eyes were open because they finally had partaken of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, which I contend is the digital age and era that we are in. Okay? That's the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And so we know the result, okay, is that it was a type of curse that was put on humanity because of the access to this information. You know, it's called IT, information technology. And technology comes, means using the arts skillfully and cleverly. The Bible calls it subtly, cleverly, to get one's way, to construct artificial considerations, the antithesis to the natural, right? Leaving the natural usage. How Mother Nature designed things naturally to be, man has come forward and constructed a complete artificial realm, digital technology, information technology, social media platforms, etc., etc. And so the tempter came again to Eve and said that ye shall not surely die, meaning this warning that you were issued by nature, by God, the source, was merely, it doesn't mean that you're going to die physically. It's not a physical consideration. This is an artificial consideration, in other words. Fear not. To partake of the tree, the information technology age, get completely engorged in it, satisfy and satiate yourself through the 7 deadly sins. And don't worry, it's not natural in the first instance, so therefore it's not going to affect you, and you're not going to die physically. But lo and behold, it's a different type of death or unaliving. Okay? When we lose our humanity and we exchange our natural state for the artificial, that is informed transhumanism. But surely you won't die is the tactic of deception that was used. You're not gonna, don't worry, you're gonna be fine. For nature just knows, God just knows, the source just knows that in the day that you participate in information technology, that your eyes would be open or will be opened. And because your eyes are open, because you have unfettered and unlimited access to all information, which I contend the human body was never designed to experience. That's why you may feel a bit hopeless. You might feel overwhelmed with all the negativity happening, not just in your own city, state, but also worldwide. Your psyche was never intended to know all, to see all. You might have experienced, let's say one unaliving of a human being in your particular sphere of influence, maybe per week. And that affected you. That had a negative vibratory effect on you. But imagine today, now you have access and information to millions perhaps, or hundreds or thousands of unaliving of human beings through catastrophes, through violence and what have you. And you have to process all of that on a daily basis before you go to sleep. All of the things that you experience due to information technology and how it affects you in your psyche, in your subconscious. Imagine the processing that is happening even whilst you are sleeping. Your mind, your psyche, was never intended to have to deal with a barrage of negativity consistently and daily. And so now, in closing, we experience the fulfillment of his story through the information technology. Now your eyes are opened, and ye have become like gods, knowing all of the good, but also all of the evil. And lastly, let us not forget or take lightly that this construct Call it MK Ultra. Call it whatever you want to. But it was designed, it was studied, and it was purposed to cause the effect that it is having on all of humanity that experiences it. So I want to leave that with you. Caution. Proceed with caution. Because, believe it or not, it's having an effect on all of us. And that may be why we're more sickly than ever before, because our the vibrations of negativity are reaching us and affecting us like never before. All right, with that being said, I just wanted to put some things on your mind to make you think. The very thing that is very liberating and empowering is also, I contend, causing us much harm. All right, with that being said, now you've been made free. The question is, what are you going to do with it? I know I've been absent for a little while, but, life is living. Stay tuned. Peace.